Hey folks, with us today, Justin from Gage Work. Justin, super happy to have you on.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me. Sorry about that.
No worries. So what is your company all about?
Well, it's this idea that the workforce is struggling, particularly in entry-level work, service-related industries, food and beverage, hospitality. And the idea that what if we can make what would be or what is disposable and meaningless, what if we can make it meaningful? And what if we can add meaning and purpose to the jobs that are allowing us to have this wonderful life that we have, right? So I believe that the workforce is struggling, and I've seen it happen. I am the owner of several businesses and restaurants. And over the past, 10, 12 years, we've just seen a completely different landscape where, people are just lost and yearning to find meaning and direction. The paycheck doesn't work to motivate people like it used to. And so what we're trying to do is to try to create a world where, every day matters, and where we really do celebrate the benefit of a good job and good work ethic.
How do you execute on that mission with your product?
Well, imagine every business has something like this. Actually, I use it, if you could see, it's a filing cabinet, right? Yeah. Now, the problem with that filing cabinet is, first off, that's how businesses manage people today. You get good reviews, good feedback, good touch points, evaluations, you get promotions, pay raises. All of it is the product of your hard work as an employee or as a worker in the workforce. And all of it goes into a manila folder and a filing cabinet, right? And now the problem with that filing cabinet is that I can't take it with me when I leave, right? So what if you could? What if you can create an entire system, a database of sorts where all the product of your work goes into, something that is your property, that you get to actually take with you whenever you leave. Because the problem with that filing cabinet, it doesn't factor in transitions, which are a natural part of everybody's career path, right? Everybody transitions from job to job. It's fine. But, you just have to do it in the right way. But whenever you do transition, that filing cabinet stays behind and basically just goes into a shredder, right? But if you can create if you can create a world where the employee gets to take the product to the work, and they get to own it, much like a savings account, a credit score, a credit report, a checking account, whenever it becomes their property, that's when you're going to bring out the best in their performance.
So is the buyer still the HR department, or who's the buyer for that?
So right now we are a B2B product. The business pays a subscription to participate in the system. And then the employee, of course, gets it for free. And that is a challenge because we're not truly a B2B product. That is our revenue source currently, even though there might be others down the road. But we're actually for the end user, for the employee. Because, how we're different is that the employee owns the data, not the business. And that is revolutionary. That's never happened before. And that is truly what is wrong with the workforce right now. And that is what we're trying to fix.
What's the motivation for the company or like the HR department to do that? Because in the end, they don't have an intrinsic push to provide that proprietary data to the employee. So is it like a benefit or what's the, why do they do that? That's like the question I'm trying to ask.
2 words: increased retention. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics says it states cost on average across all industries $4,225 every time someone gets turned over. Every time we have someone leave and come into a business, it costs on average $4,000. So our system actually rewards for job tenure, the time spent at each individual job. Now, this is important because it matters, right? Commitment matters. It's not healthy to just jump from job to job to job for the employee or for the business, right? So the way our system works is that if you stay with the job longer, the better your system, your profile, and your score grows. So someone that stays at a job on average 2 or 3 weeks is going to have a much lower score and profile than someone that stays on average 6 months, a year, right? So by doing that, by being the only platform that rewards for time spent at any job, we save the business thousands of dollars. And that's thousands of dollars a month. And that's on average of what we're seeing right now, because we've seen increased retentions of up to 92% retention rate. Now, the restaurant industry in 2018, before the pandemic, hit a turnover rate of 133%. Now, what does that mean? That means that they're losing more people than they're retaining, right? That's not sustainable. And that's why the restaurant industry is struggling so much. But, it's really quite simple. Like, people love metrics and they love gamification. So if you're able to create a system that rewards for time, literally an unbiased, objective measurement, if you're able to reward for that, even if you're able to keep an employee for a week longer, 2 weeks longer than you normally would have, you've already, paid for that subscription, just one employee.
If you need to hire the right developers and ship fast, then React Squad is for you. A boutique agency that specializes in React and only works with fast growth startups. Get a 14-day risk-free trial and a transparent price of $95 per hour. Visit reactsquad.io to learn more.
How big are you right now in terms of like customers or revenue, just to set a frame for the audience?
Sure. Yeah, that's helpful. We went through an extensive alpha and beta tests over the past couple years, basically 2021 and 2022. We launched our MVP late January of 2023, and we're seeing some really great results. We're up to over 40 business accounts right now and over 1,500 users with a very minimal staff. Like right now, it's just basically word of mouth. We're doing some digital marketing, but right now this is basically a local test within our area. 97% positive feedback. People are using it, loving it. We have a couple of Chick-fil-A franchisees in the system. We have Synovus Bank, which is a very large national bank. They're doing a pilot of, I believe, like 20 branch locations in our area. A lot of other big names like Smoothie King Corporate's doing a pilot in Dallas, Texas. So we're in the very beginning stages, but awesome traction and growth so far as we're looking to raise our first round of funding.
And then what's your pricing structure right now? Is basically per seat, so per employee, or how do you structure your pricing?
Sure. It is based on how many employees that you have. Currently we have a freemium subscription. Like if you're under 10 employees, you get it for free. And then of course it goes up from there depending on how many employees you have.
Yeah. And because you just mentioned that you're looking to raise soon. So did you initially fund it by basically using your dividends from the restaurants and other businesses you're owning? Or how did you initially get it off the ground?
It's me self-funding. Basically all of my resources, through all of my other businesses. That's actually been quite the challenge. We have collectively within my organization, we have 13 businesses and 9 restaurants. Over the past 10 years, we've employed literally thousands of people, which is how we built Gage, right? This wasn't built or designed behind a desk, in Silicon Valley. This was built on the front line, right? And I've seen the benefit of it firsthand. That's why I continue to invest in it. So yeah, this has been bootstrapped from the beginning. So this will be our first round.
Why do you make the decision now to go the venture route instead of continuing to bootstrap?
Well, at the end of the day, I only have so many resources, right? So, we're going to have to get to the next phase, to really grow this, with marketing, with sales, basically a huge sales force. No B2B sales, B2B product was ever, launched without a significant sales push, right? And we're going to need that to really get to the next level and also to prepare for phase 2. So, we made the strategic decision to build this, the features right now currently, based on primarily the business, right? So it's it's heavily a B2B product right now. But as I mentioned before, we believe that we're truly a B2C product. And whenever the employees realize that, oh, wow, this is for me, this is mine. This is not just another way for me to get in trouble. This is actually my personal property. Whenever they realize that, that's when light bulbs that's when the magic happens. So what we need to do with, what I'm affectionately calling phase 2 is build out the B2C components. And we have a lot of ideas, none of which I'm going to share with you, of course, right now. But really, whenever we build out those end user, employee features, that's when the true magic will happen.
I would love to stay on the company building side of things. So did you bring a technical co-founder on board, or did you find an engineer, or how did you manage the software aspect of it?
Yeah, no, I am not a technical founder. I wish I had a technical co-founder. To be honest, at this stage, it would be helpful. A few years ago, because I've been working on this for about 5 years, I basically brought on before it actually became tech-based. I mean, we built out a spreadsheet with an algorithm. And I actually brought on an old professor friend of mine to help me kind of build, the algorithm. And it was a beautiful thing. I mean, it was awesome. It was kind of like a prototype. But then, of course, we knew it had to be, tech-based and had to be a platform. And so my options at the time with no experience whatsoever in tech were basically either, look for a co-founder of sorts or bring on some sort of, agency. And we were introduced to an agency out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, called Whiteboard. And Whiteboard has been an incredible partner on this journey of ours. They have built it with us, they've been at the helm of this from, the branding to the website to, and to the actual, tech. And we've been really honored to have them. And they're still at the helm right now. As we build out our internal team, we need developers, we need engineers. And until then, we're really kind of leaning on them to continue, doing some updates. We've already, added some new features that have been a request of some of our current, customers.
For a non-technical co-founder who might want to go down the right direction, what were some positive signs you saw early on working with the agency, which now in retrospect showed you that it's the right path? Because I know a ton of horror stories about bad agencies, and what we always tell basically every non-technical founder we meet is try as hard as possible to get a CTO. If you have a CTO, someone who's deeply technical, then sure, work with freelancers, work with an agency, but get one technical person with shares in the company.
Yeah.
So how let's dig into that, because I think that's very useful for the non-technical founders listening.
Yeah, again, yeah, I'm a Marine. I'm just a business guy. In the Marines, they're, we have an expression where just a grunt. That's I'm just a kind of a move fast and break stuff kind of guy, and I really don't have any experience in tech at all. And so whenever I went down this journey, I basically got a lot of advice. Listen, you can do it basically one of two ways, right? You can bring on, an actual agency with credibility and, that's, either, stateside or maybe not, but just somebody with a lot of clout and credibility, right? Somebody that you can truly trust. Now they're expensive, right? But they're, that's one route to go. And that's obviously the route that we took. I was also taught, that you could also just try to bring on a bunch of freelancers, that might be, from overseas or, from all over the world, right? And then you take whatever the product is they built and try to put it together and try to sell it. That's probably, less expensive, but, there are pitfalls and traps there. So we obviously went with the former and not the latter. And really finding the agency that wanted to take on this project, that was the challenge. We interviewed a few, and we wanted to, we understood the power of what we're trying to do. Okay. If we're successful, right? The internet makes everything extremely worse or extremely better, right? And if there's an ounce of evil in anything, the internet will just multiply it to the 10th degree. So we knew that this had some incredible implications if it were to take off. So we wanted a company or an agency that really just wanted to do good things, really wanted to make the internet better, really wanted to set up those guardrails, to protect both the business and the employee, with this whole process. And whenever we went down the road with Whiteboard, they kind of had me at hello with, their objectives, what their missions are. The co-founders, Eric and Taylor, Taylor particularly has been just such a friend of mine through this journey. And the whole team there, just really have been kind of my advisors and partners. Maybe not equity, but just certainly they want us to be as successful as we do.
I think it's very, very important what you briefly mentioned there in the beginning. You interviewed the agencies and multiples, because I think just going with any agency, the first one that comes your way, I think that's a risky thing to do. So yeah. I think that was a very, very smart move.
It was actually an introduction through a graphic designer that we worked with for many years with our restaurants, and whenever I read up on them, and I was like, man, they're really trying to do good things, not just take a paycheck, but really try to make the world better, which is what we're trying to do.
And then before we slowly wrap up, you're roughly 3-4 years in, I think you mentioned. Tell us, because all the founder years are like dog years, so it's often a grind. Tell me about one of those harder times where not everything was like sunshine and rainbows.
Well, right now it's really tough. So as we're in diligence with a few like VC groups and investors that are interested, we have a couple of angel networks, and basically what I've had to realize is that I'm stretched a little thin, and the investors that we've spoken with have basically said, listen, Justin, you can't do everything, right? 13 businesses, 9 restaurants, and a tech startup. Are you kidding me? Right. So personally, I've had to make some decisions lately, probably divesting from a lot of my other, companies so that I can focus on that. And I'm actually in the process of doing that as we speak. And that's, bittersweet. It's certainly not, when you build a business, any type of business, but particularly one with a lot of team members, you grow to these people like family to me, right? So it's to be able to, let go of that, to just focus on something that I truly believe that will make a difference, which is Gage. That's a tough decision. So my wife and I, just sat down and we said, all right, we're going to keep these businesses and, for our family and for our future growth. But then the rest of them, probably have to go so that I could focus on Gage, right? That'll make the investors happy, and that'll make me happy, right? I can't do everything. There's only 24 hours in the day. So I've made the decision. That's been really tough for me. So right now that's kind of like, we're in the process of, needing to raise the funds, but having that traction from MVP from the beginning have been it's been very rewarding and verifying, wow, we actually have something. To be cash flow positive with the type of feedback we're getting, and just me, completely bootstrapped so far. It's actually quite rare. So I think we're in a really good place. I just need to be very smart right now and make the right decisions.
One final question, because you mentioned before that you're a veteran. So what did you learn from being a Marine that you took over to running businesses?
My favorite quote was by General Patton, who said, a good plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. And I believe that's a quote from Zuckerberg, who said, I move fast and break things. I believe in just getting things done, and I think that comes from the Marine Corps. not to say that you have to be, foolish with your decisions, but there are so many people that I see that talk about doing things, that plan and just completely, never pulling the trigger, never getting things done. I think I bring that experience from the Marine Corps, because I was in the infantry. I mean, I was, frontline, 2 tours in Iraq, Afghanistan. I was in the Horn of Africa. So I was very much an active, just go get it and get it done, Marine. So I think I bring that to business, because I've only, I got out in 2008. I've only been in business since then. So in business in 14 years, we've done 13 businesses, 9 restaurants, and a tech startup, right? I mean, that's insane. It really is kind of crazy. But I mean, that's what's led us to here, right? So I think that if you, just roll up your sleeves and get something done is my advice to any entrepreneur, no matter what the industry is.
I think that's a perfect way to end the pod. Justin, thanks a ton for coming on.
Thank you so much, Nikolas.
If you like this episode, then you'll love the SaaS Operator, a weekly newsletter brought to you by EarlyNode, with actionable insights from SaaS experts in the industry, delivered right to your inbox every Tuesday for free. Visit earlynode.com to subscribe.